Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi has opened a criminal case against the woman allegedly responsible for the racist viral voice note. He joins me now via Zoom. Good evening, Premier, and thank you for joining us. The woman was arrested and released with the warning to come back to court in March next year. We understand the matter's been referred by the Boksburg North Police Station to Putfontein to be investigated. Share with us where you laid your charges and what the status is on that.
Thanks so much, man. You are quite aware that on Friday we're starting 6 days of activism of non-violence against women and children. And you will agree with me that the sentiments raised in that voice note play firmly in what we want to reject during the 16 days of no violence against women and children. And just within that context, that I felt that the responsibility to protect all our women, especially the women in our province, and I also have a responsibility to protect our citizens who someone is calling or inciting violence, that they should be killed and they should be mutilated, and also that they don't deserve to live in this particular world. And within that context, therefore, I went to open a case at the Boksburg North Police Station, and I must thank the police. They treated me like an ordinary person. They didn't treat me like a premier or any other person, something that I appreciated. And they indeed gave me feedback yesterday that they arrested a certain individual because we're not inhumane. We are human beings, and we need to promote humanity. The police indicated that this is a 60-year-old person under heavy medication, and after they've evaluated a certain individual, they were of the view that they need to release her on warning so that she can be in a position to continue to take medication. And also, she is in an advanced age, and therefore, while they're still investigating other related matters, the matter can be remanded next year, so that the person can appear in court next year. And we felt it's fine. We need to be humane. We need to demonstrate that it's not dealing with animals. It's dealing with human beings that are also caring about their own health.
We'll come to, what happens, and perhaps that's a question best put to police authorities. What happens when multiple charges are laid at, several police stations on a charge that affects a single individual. But I want to come to this one. Several organizations, including AZAP, are laying charges in Krugersdorp. There are marches in protest being planned. Premier, what is your message tonight on hateful and racist speech in our country?
Well, there is a bill that is within Parliament, and I think it's en route to the President. I'm of the view that we really need to strengthen laws against racism. You will recall that the crafters of our Constitution, they never thought there would be somebody who will have a racist thoughts when they crafted this Constitution. I mean, we are quite aware that the United Nations declared this kind of conduct as a crime against humanity. So the crafters were very soft. And we understand why they were very soft. They didn't want to be harsh because they never thought after we've defeated apartheid, there's somebody who will rise on their rooftop to defend racism. Because racists, on their own definition, they are mindless, useless, and meaningless. But the crafters of our Constitution felt that there can't be anyone that can openly call for the return of racism under their normal senses. There can't be someone who will openly defend the flag of the apartheid regime. There can't be someone who may also don't want their children to go to the same school with other children. So the laws were crafted in a manner that we assumed that things will be fine, they will be smooth. But the reality dictates otherwise. And therefore, the bill or the discussions that are taking place in Parliament and strengthening laws related to anti-racism, I really believe calls upon true, genuine South Africans to contribute and deposit their ideas there so that we can have laws that will bite and we'll have laws that will discourage racists from continuing to exist amongst our society.
Premier, the sentiments expressed were in that expression so hateful, so stark, of black men being banned because they rape and steal, and calling for the uteruses and ovaries of all black women to be cut out so they can't procreate because they will all turn out the same, and on and on. We are back here, Premier, having this discussion. We've had several similar incidents over the course of our history. How do we deal with such deeply rooted racism? How do you sincerely reverse and replace that mentality? Having, the architecture of law is one route, but at its core, at its heart, what new ideas do we as a society have at our disposal and our means to do that?
Iman, I know I will sound like a broken record. Me and you, we've passed our pass-by date. There's no need to change you or to change me or to change adults. It starts with our children. And where does it start? In the classroom. If you can't bring our children to play together, learn together, entertain themselves together, so that they can understand that we are all human beings, we would have missed the boat. And that is why I'm an enemy of people that believe that a certain tribe or a certain language should be in their own classroom alone. We are not attacking a mother tongue or a certain language. You can study isiXhosa or Afrikaans in another class, but during break, our children can be part of the same rugby team. They can be part of the same soccer team. But those that are proponents of saying one language, one school, and therefore, by extension, one race, one school, I think we need to defeat them. And that goes also to people that propagate an area called Orania. It might be permissible within the law, we are told. It might be part of the reconciliation process. But let's look at it. If it was part of building a reconciled South Africa, how do you have a society that rejects any other person on the basis of their color? How do you have a society that does not even want to hire people to work or play with them? How do you have a society that have their own flag outside the flag of South Africa? How do you have people that have their own currency out of the currency that we have as a country? How do you have their own people that believe they can also have their own laws that are outside the constitution of the country? And thirdly, there are some political parties in the Western Cape that are now calling for a referendum so that they can be not, or they can be excluded as part of South Africa. They believe the broader South Africa does not belong to them. They have to be on their own. And all these things are happening in our country and no one is questioning them. And that is why you see racists gaining their voices.
Yeah.
That's why you see racists that can go on a public platform and insult other people. So it's not an isolated incident. These are things that people are talking on dinner tables where black people are not there. It's just that this one was caught. But the reality is there are many people and many families who observe the same thinking or harbor the same thoughts about we as black people. And we have been open, we have been accommodative. I mean, just take one person in a taxi to Soweto. How our people will welcome that person in the taxi, try to teach that particular individual how we behave and language and other things. But the opposite is true. If you are alone in their company, they humiliate you, ridicule you, insult you, and all other things. And also in the political space, see the political parties that are growing, see the NGOs that are growing. These are political parties that don't want South Africa that is non-racial. And then these are NGOs that believe that they can protect a certain language alone, and other people cannot be accommodated.
Premier, certainly, a national discourse is not out of place on this one. A real moment for us to bring this out into the open more clearly. I'm glad you qualified the past our sell-by date, although I am of the view that it's not just children who can, have that meaningful engraving on them from a young age, but adults too can change their minds. They can, and, if they make a sincere effort to do so. Appreciate your time this evening.
Okay, Nelson Mandela said it correctly. No one was born a racist. So I agree with you, Iman. That's
Premier, thank you for your time this evening. Appreciate you. Premier of Gauteng, Panyaza Lesufi.